teachers. The sad thing is that this is not the last school shooting that we're going to encounter. There will be more. And as we have noted in this case, the parents are the first line of defense. And if we keep looking for solutions on a higher level, like the government or some other way, but parents they should know their kids better than anyone else, and they should be all of our first lines of defense.
A lot of family talk about how this could very well be their only day in court, their only chance at any kind of closure, and also that they at least, you were able to bring out a lot of the information that they had wanted to know. Can you talk about that? Did they express any of that to you before they left, or during what their thoughts were on that?
Yes, the group of lawyers that we worked with in this case, we felt very fortunate to be able to get information to help provide some closure for the families about what happened and why it happened. We didn't get the ultimate outcome that we wanted, but we are making progress on this. And with each one of these cases, if we can show that if you don't safely store your guns, if you don't get your child mental help when the red flags are there, then lawyers such as ourselves are going to file a lawsuit, and we are going to put this in front of a jury. And one of these days soon, 12 men and women, even in this red state of Texas, are going to say enough is enough. That's not reasonable. Our goal in this case was never to take anyone's weapons from them. Our goal was to simply say two things: get your child mental health treatment, number one, and number two, safely store your guns. That's what responsible gun owners do. And that fight is not over with. We're going to keep that up.
You talk about lucky gunners. They already settled out of court, right? In another case, are they going to be held liable again? Could they pay again? Is that even possible?
Well, the judge will take the jury's verdict and enter a judgment. Lucky Gunner has previously entered into a settlement, and my understanding and impression is that that will be final, the settlement that they entered into, and that's that. The important thing from the jury today is that they found that Lucky Gunner failed to use reasonable care by having no age verification for selling deadly ammunition to kids who can then take it and go shoot up a school or commit other types of shootings. So the important thing the important takeaway here is the jury found, after hearing the evidence in the case, that Lucky Gunner shared in part of what occurred.
Right, but can you speak to just how kind of soul-crushing this outcome must be for some of your clients?
Yeah, it's a very tough outcome because they believe to their core, just like we as the lawyers do, that these parents shared in the responsibility for what happened. And so, yes, of course, it's very difficult to try a case for a couple of weeks to see all of this evidence of the red flags that were showing that these parents, that their son needed help, to learn during the course of this case that they had actual knowledge that something was wrong, and yet they did nothing. And so even though we didn't get the outcome that we wanted, thanks to wonderful folks like you, we're getting the message out there, because our objective in this case is if we get one child home from school or some other place, then what we did in this case, we've achieved our goal.
Is there any room for an appeal or a new lawsuit, a new course of action?
Well, we'll have to consider all of the options, but as of right now, we're just going to say that we respect the verdict, even though we respectfully disagree with at least a portion of it.
So what's next for the families? Have you decided what they want to do next?
You know, I haven't had the opportunity to get with those families. One thing I know for sure is that they are hoping that one day Demetrius Pogorchis will stand criminal trial for this premeditated murder of his classmates and his teachers. So we are hoping that that is on the horizon and that he will be found criminally responsible for what it is that he did.
You spoke to jurors just before this. Are you able to say what came from that conversation?
No, I'd prefer to sort of keep that, and if they would like to speak to you guys, they can do so. I don't want to to mischaracterize or misstate what it is that they say. We are very appreciative. They spend a lot of time. They've listened very intently. Judge Ewing is one of the best judges I've ever had the privilege of practicing in front of. We're super lucky to have him as a judge in Galveston County. And so with regard to the jurors in the case, if they have any comments, then we'll leave it up to them to tell you what their thoughts were and how they reached the outcome that they did. Anything else?
Will you be the only person speaking?
Alton, I believe, is going to speak. Yes.
Just briefly, this jury took the facts of this case and the law as it's given to them here in the state of Texas. And the way reasonable is now defined in Texas needs to be redefined. It seems like we always expect the government to do everything for us, and the government can help. They can help a lot. And we know that there's legislation that's not being passed, but hopefully will be. We know schools can do a lot, but schools can't parent children. Parents have to parent children. And that's the first line of defense. But this jury reached its decision based upon the law as it exists in our state at this time. So you can't really fault them. We're disappointed, but you can't really fault them. But what is reasonable? As the law exists today, the way these parents, this jury found, was reasonable. Well, the way I define reasonable, if a gun gets taken away and someone gets hurt, that's unreasonable. Is there really a margin of error when it comes to our children? To me, there's not. To others, perhaps it is. But our foundation of our country is based upon our children. And if we can't protect them, who can we protect? Our government, our families, all of us have a duty to our children. We're disappointed in the verdict, but we understand why the jury did what they did. As lawyers, if you only think the jury's good when they find for you, then why did you swear to the Constitution? We're disappointed, but we respect this jury's verdict. We got a great trial from this judge. As far as where we go, someone was asking, where do we go from here? There's not any more litigation that's planned. There's not a lawsuit out there. But these families they don't want their children's memories to be lost forever. If you saw the documentary, it says the kids of Santa Fe, the largest unknown mass shooting. When we hear mass shootings, what do we think of? Parkland. We think of Columbine. We think of Uvalde. Nobody ever mentions Santa Fe. Not that any of them are good. There's not a good shooting. And we really had hoped to keep their memory alive with a result in this case that would make a difference. And it takes juries because our legislators are not going to do it. It's just as simple as that. Parkland was Sandy Hook, 12 years ago. 26 people died. 20 of those were 6 and 7 years old. What do you need as a country to see that we're not doing it right? And what has changed? Not one thing. We are passionate about this. It was a pleasure to represent these families. As lawyers have said, is there something I could have said or done differently? We don't really think that we left anything that we would have done different than what we did. As has been mentioned, we appreciate very much each of you being here to bring an emphasis on what should be important to us all.
Quick question for you. Certainly not the outcomes families were looking for or expecting in some regard. I know you guys were talking to them after the verdict came out. How are those families feeling? We saw some of that emotion inside of the courtroom.
You know, as disappointing as the verdict was today, you can't hurt these families any more than they've already been hurt. So do they wish that something good had come of it? And quite frankly, a jury verdict can bring some comfort. To have 12 people that you don't even know that say your child was important. There's something that's good about that. That didn't happen. But as I said, you can't hurt these people any more than they've already been hurt.
Did anybody feel for your team and the parents that the school district was liable at all?
Well, the school district could have done a better job. They really could have. We're not, everybody could have done a better job. You know, we're not here to try to defend the district. We're not here to try to defend anyone, because we all have an obligation to our children. The school district had some signs that they should have picked up on, and they didn't. But it's if they were trying to blame the school district for the parents' failure. That just doesn't seem fair to me. Thank you guys again.